you everyone for joining us for the Insurance Leadership Podcast. We're here in Tampa, Florida at the ICMG conference, and I'm here with Dustin Moseley with Guardian Life. And Dustin is someone we actually met at ICMG, what was it, 3 years ago now?
That's right.
I believe so, yeah. And Dustin's the head of distribution and partnerships, and he works with individual products at Guardian Life. So something that's near and dear to us at Morgan White Group, but we met Dustin, and it's been kind of a long path. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Let's start, Dustin, with getting to know you a little bit. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what kind of got you into the insurance industry.
Yeah. So just going back to my college days, I've always been interested in the power of bringing people and organizations together to build things, to create solutions. And so that led me to studying business administration. I had a focus in entrepreneurship and small business. And then ultimately I ended up launching my own full service digital media agency while I was still in school. Fast forward a little bit, I ended up selling that agency to one of my business partners. And then when I started, my professional career, I was looking for opportunities to deepen my skills and experience in strategic partnerships. And so that led me to a variety of roles across media and technology. And through that work, I really gained a deep appreciation for the value of strategic collaboration. And then, 3 years now, it was 2021. I jumped at the chance to join Guardian and bring that experience to a role where I could, truly create and execute a strategy around partnerships. And not only partnerships, but partnerships that can make a meaningful difference in people's lives. Anytime you change industries, it can be scary, it can be challenging. It was all of those things, but I've really enjoyed it, and I haven't looked back since. I'm just thrilled to work for a company that remains dedicated to inspiring well-being for our customers and for our colleagues. And the communities and everything that we do.
That's great. So yeah, let's talk about this partnership a little bit, because like I said, we met 3 years ago, and I think I had been speaking with Guardian for some time, and I'll tell you what I've learned throughout the years is the Ben and Dustin conversation is usually the easiest part. Oh yeah, you do this, I do that. It's a win-win. But there's a lot of convincing that has to go on, and there's when we're dealing with companies of your size. I mean, it's almost politics to get everybody on board with an idea or a vision, and you find somebody that you want to work with, and unfortunately they don't all work out. So I guess what I'd asked about this partnership. There's been a lot of perseverance. I mean, you personally have been very dedicated to this. Not everyone sticks around for 3 years of hearing maybe we'll do this next time, and hey, we're going to look at third quarter, and hey, maybe we'll do this later. What kept you focused and motivated during this process, and what lessons do you think you learned from this experience? And I'm sure we're not the only one. You do this all the time, so more in general.
Yeah, for me and for my team, in terms of motivation, when you look at some of the research from Guardian, right? When people have access to insurance benefits, they self-report better well-being, right? So if you can kind of anchor in that, just the knowledge for myself and my team members, knowing that we're expanding access to those same benefits to the people that need them and want them, it's a powerful motivator for the work that we do. And working towards that shared vision keeps us motivated on delivering the solutions that these consumers need. It's kind of neat that we're here at ICMG for our 3-year relationship anniversary. Right. And I think something that Guardian does well is we are a large, nationwide company. We've been around for 160 years. We've done really well. We do foster quite a lot of innovation internally. Call it entrepreneurship, if you will. And so a lot of times what it takes is it's a lot of it is timing. And it's just a lot of education and internal alignment that gets us to that end state. And I think, also when we first met, I had just learned that you had been talking to us previously. And one of the reasons why I was brought in was to kind of bring some different perspective, particularly from someone who hasn't been insurance for a long time in their career. And we did a lot of back channeling with Morgan White. We sat down on that couch at the cocktail session, and we kind of crafted our big picture and our plans, and everything sounded good, just like you said. And then it comes down to, now we got to get to work.
That's right.
And we heard a lot of great things about Morgan White in our back channeling. Obviously, the conversations that you and I had were very positive. And part of this whole strategic collaboration is about being able to align on what the end goal is and to create the mutual value.
That's right.
So I think we did a really good job of making sure we were aligned with what the mutual value was, and then just communicating it upwards and horizontally, across the rest of the organization to help folks see that bigger picture. And ultimately, we got the support that we needed, and we made it.
We did. Yeah. I mean, very recently, actually, but
yeah,
we did. And I've never heard that word before. Entrepreneurship. I like that. That's a good one. But, I'm thinking ultimately, no matter how big the company is, it's still people. It's made of people, and that's what you're dealing with. And I think, what we've seen with Guardian is, okay, yeah, look, everyone knows it's a big name, but we're still working with people. And, we found a lot of people, like you said, that the vision kind of aligned. And even though we were kind of blazing a new path, everybody was kind of on board with that. So I think, obviously kudos to you and your team for making it happen. So.
Yeah, and likewise. I just add, quickly, I think the other part of it was the willingness to take the step forward to meet in the middle, instead of waiting for, the other side to take that step forward. Right. There were certainly hurdles and challenges that we went through. And that was reciprocated. So that was kind of the beginning moments of that true strategic collaboration that leads to trust. And then once you have that trust, you can do a lot. You can do a lot more when the trust has been established. And ultimately you can get the hard things done once that trust is established.
Right. Sure can. Absolutely. So Dustin, let's talk about your market a little bit, the individual market. I know you have a lot of knowledge about this. I know you've been doing this for a while. What do you think sets this market apart from others, and what do you think is kind of trending, or do you see opportunities out there that get you excited about the individual market?
Yeah, just in terms of market trends right now, there's rapid growth in the retiree market, and what we call the gig worker population, but essentially, anybody that is working but doesn't have access or has limited access to these important benefits. So, the nature of how and when and where Americans work is shifting, and then ultimately leads to how and when and where Americans access the important benefits. So I think we will continue to see a heightened focus on offerings that are designed to bring the insurance benefits that were traditionally offered in the workplace directly to the individuals. At Guardian, we are constantly pulling market insights. We're listening to our customers, and where a lot of value we get from our strategic partners is deeply listening to partners like yourself and others who have a lot of the insights, so that we're able to continue to innovate on our products as well as our technology capabilities.
So when you say you're kind of digging into the market trends and looking at your customer, when you mention the gig economy, is there certain ways you guys are kind of focusing in on that segment and saying, here, we're going to market to these people specifically, and here's the message, and this is what works because we've tested it? Are you guys going to that level of detail when you're marketing?
I think we're getting there. Where we start with is we want to work with partners who are supporting the well-being of the individuals that we work with and that we build products for. So we always start with the product, make sure we have the right product in market that these consumers need access to. And then we form, our strategic partnerships and alliances with the organizations that are focused on supporting those same individuals. And so, we look for alignment of driving that overall well-being, financially speaking, health, and wealth. And so as long as we can identify the right partners, distribution partners that we work with, who are supporting the customers that we build our products for, a lot of it comes after. And so we're learning more about, again, where and how these individuals are accessing their benefits. They're not accessing it through an employer. They're accessing it through a trusted advisor, or they're accessing it through some kind of technology, consumer-facing application. And so we're focused on making sure our products are aligned with the distributors that are also supporting the same customers.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, so you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I know distribution is a key part of your role. So how do you approach getting companies excited about Guardian's products? There's a lot of them out there. I mean, people call me every day, and we're very careful of who we handpick. Once again, kind of who we hitch our wagon to. So when you're out there looking for companies in distribution, what are you doing to kind of stick out in this competitive market?
We're fairly selective with who we work with. When we create the opportunity with the distribution partners to take a step back and see the bigger picture, around some of the research that we've seen. So, mental, physical, and financial health, they don't exist in silos. And so we develop our products and partnerships accordingly to meet those intersecting needs. So if we're able to kind of help tell that story with some of the distributors that we talk to, take a step back, see that bigger picture, we're competitive in that regard. Because by ensuring everyone has access to the benefits that directly impact their mental and physical and financial well-being, that's meaningful work for us. And it's meaningful work for those, distribution partners that we want to work with. And so that's something that can truly be rallied behind. I think the other thing is just around the people. You mentioned people being such an important part of the business. Our hunger and our commitment to being lifelong students. We don't just want to walk into a room, put our products on a table and walk out. We want to be that strategic partner with the organizations that we choose to work with. We lean in. We want to learn about their business. We want to truly co-create with them. And we want to support each other. We want to share the industry learnings. The whole strategic partner is used a lot, and I think it's overused. We truly do want to be that strategic partner, co-create, go to marketing strategies together. And we've seen that approach ultimately lead to, I mentioned it before, leads to greater trust between the organizations. And so that's a competitive advantage that we see. And that's an environment that we bring to the table. We think that's fairly unique, and we can get to the mutual accountability and to that mutual value.
So I'm gonna throw you a little curveball here. So not every partnership is a home run off the bat, right? So do you have a story or anything of a partnership that started going south that you were able to right the ship and that be something that continued forward? Or sometimes maybe you just have to be, I guess, wise enough to say maybe this just wasn't the right choice, and we'll cut ties here.
Yeah, I think I'll maybe not give a specific example, but I'll touch on kind of a trend that I've learned from, which is it's really easy to say, we're going to drive X amount of value as a strategic partner with you guys. I think in the past, where I've personally missed, and this is just even outside of Guardian and some of the other roles I've had, is not taking the time to truly evaluate and align on what that North Star is. And so you do a lot of the work, you go through the contracting, everybody's excited, you have salespeople talking to each other, they have their vision. It's
always a win for them, right?
Right.
Can't lose.
And you really got to make sure that you pull in all the supporting cast members behind the scenes to help them see the bigger picture. Because if you can help them see the bigger picture, they're going to be the first ones to raise their hand and say, hey, there's a challenge here. Hey, I don't know if we can do that. Or, hey, I have a couple questions here. We need to dig into that. And that comes from both sides. So it's not only the company that I'm working at that need to make sure we have the alignment of. It's also the company that we're, potentially going to work closely with, making sure they have the alignment on their side across all of their supporting staff. And I've certainly missed that part of the process in the past. And you get down to, all right, it's time to go to market, and those supporting cast members, are not aligned with what that plan is. So, I could pick a couple examples, but I think just a trend overall. That's why we are a little bit more selective than others, in who we choose to work with, because ultimately, when the rubber meets the road, all supporting cast members need to be ready.
That's right. Absolutely. And it takes a lot of people to get lift off on some of these projects, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway, lots of different skill sets, lots of different departments, lots of people involved. So you're right. I mean, you, if everyone's on board, you should be in good shape, right?
Yep. And I'll add, everyone needs to know, have eyes wide open of what the risks are, right? Nothing's going to be a guaranteed home run. There's no guaranteed success. Everything's a little bit of an investment for potential ROI. Some things are bigger bets than others. But as long as everyone understands and goes into it eyes wide open, here are the outcomes, here's the ceiling, right? Here's the floor. We're gonna go for it.
So as a leader, what advice would you give to professionals about navigating the challenges of today's insurance market and staying ahead of the curve? I know Guardian puts a lot of weight into that and being innovative. So what would be some advice you'd give to whether it be a broker, an agent, or just a fellow leader out there?
Something that served me very well, and it's advice I give often, is stay informed and stay a lifelong student. You're going to develop your expertise over time. You're going to know your space, your vertical. You're going to have your strengths and skill sets. Don't just rest on your laurels. Don't stop there. Always try to be this lifelong learner, because there is a lot of changes happening in the industry. Make sure you stay informed, attend industry events, listen to podcasts. Meet with skip levels in your organization to hear and gather insights and their perspective on what's happening. But don't stop just at the information collection stage, then take action on that. Ultimately, it's up to all of us to bring those insights that we gather from all those different activities and then apply them to the work that we do so that we stay ahead. So stay a lifelong learner, stay informed, and then act on those insights and learnings. Right.
And I got to say, listening to podcasts is probably the best.
Absolutely,
advice.
the best.
Specifically, this one
in
right
particular,
here, right?
Yep.
Well, Dustin, we appreciate you being on with us today. Appreciate your insights. So thanks for joining us, and thanks everybody for joining us as well. We'll see you next time.